Welcome, 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 my friends. This is going to be the special episode for Easter. Yes, Easter, the most holy day of Christendom, right? We reflect upon our Savior having conquered death and hell, returning, and basically proclaiming that, right? So I want to say probably about 1984, a friend of mine had a tape, and on this tape there was a series of songs that I particularly liked. Now this tape was called Beat the System, and now 4 decades later, basically, that is still one of my favorite CDs, tapes, albums, whatever you want to call it, collection of music. And one of my absolute favorite songs of all time is on there. And, I can't do justice to singing it. But like all music, it's kind of poetry, right? It's written out in a lyrical form, and I'm going to do my best to recite it and do it in such a way as to impress upon the story that is being given in this song, and how the whole purpose of all of Christendom is outlined by what is stated. It is outlined by the sacrifice. So the name of the song is It Is Finished. And the author, or the primary author, is Bob Hartman. Wrote probably north of 75% of all the music they ever played. So the guy's great. The song, like I said, is my favorite, and I'm not even going to try and sing it. But here we go. In the heat of the early morning, on a hill they called the Skull, the roaring of the angry mob had settled to a lull. All eyes were cast upon the man whose hands and feet were bound. They saw him cry in anguish when they heard the hammer pound. They saw the bloody woven thorns with which his head was crowned. They watched the bloody cross of wood be dropped into the ground. The soldiers gambled for his clothes. They watched him win and lose. They saw the sign above his head that said, King of the Jews. It is finished. And the sky grew black as the night. It is finished. And the people scattered in fright. The work had been done. Redemption had been won. The war was over without a fight. It is finished. They searched his face for anger, for vengeance in his stare. Instead of eyes that burned with hate, a look of love was there. He prayed for their forgiveness and bowed his battered head, and no one knew the meaning of the final words he said. It is finished. And the sky grew black as the night. It is finished. And the people scattered in fright. The work had been done. Redemption had been won. The war was over without a fight. It is finished. The provision has been made. The foundation has been laid. He paid the ransom due. He tore the temple veil in two, and he opened up the way for me and you. It is finished. It is finished. The sky grew black as the night. It is finished, and the people scattered in fright. The work had been done. Redemption had been won. The war was over without a fight. It is finished. Now, folks, I cannot think of a more appropriate or more encapsulated understanding of what the purpose of the crucifixion served, what happened during that. There's so much going on in there. The song moves me to this day. The lyrics are well spelled out. It tells the story of what happens. The only thing in my mind that is more graphic, that is more explicit at what is going on at this point in time, is the movie that Mel Gibson had made called The Passion, right? Now, some would call it excessive. Some would complain that it was too graphic. It's this rated R Christian film. The idea is that we, in modern America, we really, unless you're somebody that's been to war and saw what happens to somebody when they're tortured or when they're blown up, we have no idea, no concept of what torture can do, of what the abuse you can do to another person is. And all the while, this guy has gone and done this willingly. Now, granted, he is the God-man, right? He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows the entirety of the purpose. This is the ultimate fulfillment of his bodily function on earth. And he's going and willingly sacrificing himself to be abused and be beaten, cut up, torn, ultimately pierced. Strangely enough, he had already died, or he'd already given up his ghost, if you will, at that time. And they pierced him to prove that he was dead. Now, I know a couple of pastors have talked about this. I've heard it discussed before. But when you pierce somebody in the chest like that and blood and water comes out, that is the proof that somebody has died. So Jesus is, at this point, bodily form no longer has life. He's vacated it, right? The vessel is empty. The Bible talks about for 3 nights, 3 days, the body's in a tomb, and then he returns. He conquers death and hell and returns. Re-inhabits the body, goes and visits thousands of people, shows them the wounds in his hands and his feet. These people then go out and spread the word. Now, I've often commented about, I'm borrowing somebody else's phrase, and I'm sure he borrowed it from somebody else. It only takes 12. In actuality, it only took 11, right? 11 committed people, fully committed to the cause, transformed the entire world. Now, it may have taken them hundreds of years, but the work they did transformed the world. You got to ask yourself, almost all those people died at the hands of others. They allowed themselves to be tortured and killed. Would you do that for a lie? Would you knowingly allow yourself to give up your life for something you knew to be a lie? I wouldn't. I'm not even sure that I have it in me to willingly give up my life for something that I truly believe in. But I'm convinced myself that I'm going to make that stand. I'm going to make that stand no matter the cost. I'm going to make that stand no matter how much it hurts. And I've only had a small inkling, a small taste of what that might be like. I mean, we in the States, we've been very blessed. We have been on the upside, if you will, of many, many things for a couple 100 years, and things are only getting better, and things are only safer, more put together. That time may be ending. Now, I know there's a whole lot of theological argumentation and discussion as to what comes next. Setting aside the interim, right? I am confident that every knee is going to bow and every tongue is going to confess. The battle is over. The work's been done. When he said it was finished, it is finished. What happens between then and the second coming, I don't necessarily know. I don't have to know. I have a certain amount of confidence, if for no other reason, that I can think about this song, and I can think about the passage or passages that Mr. Hartman put together to create that poetry, to create a song that here, nearly 40 years later, still inspires me, still brings me to the point where I have to consider the cost, the willing cost that a guy paid for me, for you. There's a phrase, you would for a good man. But the Bible explicitly states that we're not good. The heart is deceitful above all things. Who can know it? For all have sinned, and we have come short of the glory of God. Yet he who knew no sin made the sacrifice for us all, right? So whether or not you choose to acknowledge Christ now, or if at some point in the future you're going to have to do it on your knees, all I can tell you is, for me, that offers great comfort. Life's never been a cakewalk. Nothing's really ever been easy. And sometimes that's what it takes to get up and do the next thing. Sometimes that's what it takes to know that whatever happens, he's in control. And I think about what he went through, what he suffered on his own. The idea of being fully man means that he got to experience all the pain and all the suffering, knowing full well he could have vacated the premises at any time he wanted, but not until the appointed time that was foretold. Not until the appointed time could he join his Father again. So if that doesn't move you, I don't know what will. If that doesn't bring a little conscientious thought as to what's involved, what is the basis of Christianity, I can't help you. I'm not going to tell you anything more than, for me, that was enough. That is enough. And that, my friends, ends the special Easter edition. It is finished. This is according to Callus. And I will see you on the other side. Good night.